Welcome to the Film Mechanics Screenwriting Podcast with Deri Tyton. We have now hit the fun part of creating the screenplay, structure. You don't write in film structure? Wow. Well, Hollywood and most movies and TV shows are developed from a structure with 3 acts and an A, B, and C storyline. Here I go again, jumping the gun. What is structure? Screenwriting structure outlines a screenplay by a formula that will have a beginning, a middle, and an end, which may not be in that order. I said formula. Ooh, Deri. There are a million screenwriters who can't fathom writing in structure. Then there are a gazillion more who don't know about structure at all. But the few who understand the premise of structure use it. And for the most part, they utilize it to help in their writing practices and bring longevity to their careers. When I first was introduced to screenwriting structure, it was the most humiliating epiphany I ever experienced. What made it so humiliating was because I didn't know it even existed. And this after I've read a few books on filmmaking. Reading books on filmmaking isn't the same as learning about screenwriting. So here I am in grad school learning about screenwriting structure. And now since I've read these books and gained this new knowledge, guess what, y'all? I can't even enjoy a movie or a TV show. Why? Because I'm studying the science of how it's put together. Never mind the fact that it took a whole crew and cast of people to create this whole entire experience. Oh yeah, don't forget the whole post-production staff had to put it together. And here it is in front of me, a whole structural format. Wait. I want you to know this. The writers write it in structure. The directors direct it according to the structure. The editors cut it together in a structure. So when I watch it, it's in structure? Wow. Seriously, when you sit down and watch a film or TV show and you follow beat by beat the structure of the show, that means everyone has brought into how to tell the Hollywood style story, and that is structure. So what is structure again? A formula, a science, an outline. The thing that allows you to order your screenplay in a linear, nonlinear format. So who created this formula we use to tell our stories without getting theoretical about structure and the why of it all? But I will say Aristotle is the most well-known observer of the 3-act structure as he breaks it down in his books Poetics. Although this was based on a tragedy in 3 acts, the 3 acts consist of a beginning, a middle, and an end. These 3 acts will not always show up in the exact same order, again, regarding how you choose to write your screenplay in screenwriting. See, it's Sid Fields who breaks down the 3-act structure for screenwriting in his book, Screenplay, The Foundation of Screenwriting. If you don't have it, it is a great book to have in your arsenal. Although he isn't the only person to ever develop a structure for 3-act structure, there are a few interpretations of how to write a film using the 3-act structure. So I know a lot of this is structure, 3-act structure, 3-act structure. But what is important is how Sid Fields breaks it down in his structure called the paradigm, which consists of the setup, the confrontation, and the resolution. And within these 3 acts, you'll find an inciting incident, 2 plot points, 2 pinches, a midpoint, and a climax. Now I know that's a whole lot, but I'm going somewhere with this. Again, you have others like Michael Haig's 6-stage plot structure, or Christopher Vogler, The Hero's Journey, or Robert McKee's book. In his book Story, it gives the detail on how to use his 5-story plot structure called the central plot. What about Blake Snyder's book, Save the Cat? A lot of you may have that book or may be familiar with that book, but it discusses how to formulate your beat sheet, which starts with the opening image. And so many movies start with an opening image of the main character or the central conflict that would tell us what or who this movie is about. There are so many more. I mean, many, many more. But just to name a few that you probably should check out, you should check out Linda Seeger or Dan Harmon or John Truby or Jill Chamberlain. And the funny thing about discovering structure is that you have to find one, if you can find one, or you may have to find a mix of them that fits your genre, style, and creativity, right? This is not a fit one, fit all situation because every story calls for something different. What is important is that you take the time to dig deep in the archives of screenwriting structures and find the one that works for you. A good way to start is to log on to YouTube and look up some of the people that I mentioned before and watch videos of how they explain not only how to tell stories or how to write stories, how to sell stories, but also how to structure stories. See, why is structure so important? Oh, Deri, do I really have to write in structure? Honestly, you don't. Yet professional readers and producers and people of the sort can tell if your script is written in structure, though. Well, let me take that back. When writing, it's essential to make your writing so good it flawlessly weaves throughout the plot points and the beat sheet markings that no one even realizes they are reading a structured screenplay. One of the things I speak about to people all the time is that we've watched movies and TV shows so much, our minds have been conditioned to write in 3 acts, whether you believe it or not. I tell you what, pick a novice screenwriter with limited knowledge about the art and the science of screenwriting and read their screenplay. I guarantee the first act will describe the setup. Then after so many pages in, you will see the story start to develop more and more. And as the story develops more, we start to see the developing of characters that makes moves, and then they'll hit a dark moment, which leads us to a climactic moment before the movie resolves. There is no such thing as a lousy screenplay. It's just that the execution is wrong. And most times, for those people who are writing screenplays without learning structure, they're formatting in their mind the way that they see it on TV, the way that they see it on movies. And it just happens to be that way. Like, there's no such thing as a bad shot in basketball, I guess. It's just the execution of the shot that determines if it was correctly taken. Writing in structure can save you a lot of time. So how do you write in structure? First, it's understanding that screenplays are written in 3-act structures. That's the first thing. Now, don't get me wrong. The invention of the 4, 5, and 6 acts have elevated the game to the point where one may feel better than the other, when in reality, it's about breaking the acts up so they seem palatable. What do I mean by breaking the acts? Let's go over this. And let's think of 4 acts. You have the first act of about 25 to 30 pages of written headings, actions, characters, and dialogues. Then you have the second act, which may be about 20 to 25 pages. Then you take the third act, which may be about 20 to 25 pages. And lastly, you have Act 4, which is about 25 to 30 pages. On the low side, you'll have 90 pages, and on the high side, you'll have 110 pages, right? So imagine your first act in 25 to 30 pages. That's a bit easier when you break it down like that. But wait, let's give it more parameters for the first act. We want to introduce the main characters, protagonists and antagonists, introduce the world they live in, introduce their flaws, introduce their journey, introduce the inciting incident, probably around page 12 to 16, introduce a mentor and a reflection character, and when the character can no longer refuse the journey, they accept it, and then voila, we're in Act 2. So in about 25 pages, you're in Act 2 because you're engaged in the storytelling process by the plot points by the structure that you may utilize. It sounds easy, right? And anything you do with discipline and consistency, as boring as it may be, becomes second nature. Again, you want to break down your script into smaller chunks of writing. Once you find a structure that you are comfortable with, then it becomes easier to outline. Remember earlier when I discussed me learning about screenwriting structure and watching movies and how I did not really watch the film because I was trying to identify where the story was in a particular structure? I literally would take my Save the Cat book with me to the movies and spend time going through the structure as I'm watching a movie. And in doing so, I would be lost in the story. Sometimes I would be off in the structure. And why is that? Because it's a way that it is written that makes it flawless, which is what I was speaking about. Well, I don't do that anymore. I don't take my book anymore. When I go to the movies, I watch for pure enjoyment of the storytelling. I stop comparing and trying to match my writing to the whole movie making process where the script went through. For instance, you writing one script and you're trying to match your one script to a movie that you're watching or a television show that you're watching on TV. Never mind the fact that it went through about 20 to 30 rewrites. A director had rewrites. An actor does ad lib. A production value that you can't even fathom for your own. And an editor's scene choice. Also, and lastly, but a producer's picture lot by the way of marketing and promoting that particular film. So remember, whenever you're trying to compare your one story in between the black writing and the white pages, and you're comparing it to this full-blown production, stop and just watch for entertainment. And what I want to leave you with is, as you watch the hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars poured into a film that will read through a 3-act structure, stop listening to those people that say, I don't write in structure. It's almost bad as a person who wants to write for TV and says, I don't watch TV. I don't have time. Although there is no scientific sure-shot way to write a masterful million-dollar screenplay other than writing it, the structure, plot, and design allow a screenwriter to put their story into a beat format where uneven ideas can flow and an unclear account can be developed into a full-fledged script. Yes, formula is good. The art and science of screenwriting are good. Every film does not fit the mold. For example, you may have a film that's philosophical or abstract films. They don't fit into structure. But what is important to remember is, if you want to work in Hollywood and your film to be taken seriously, find a structure that is compatible with how and what you write. What happens after I find the structure? Well, now it's time to outline. See you on the next podcast on outlining. I hope this in some small way helps you on your journey. We appreciate your support. Be sure to leave a review and a comment and share with your closest screenwriting friends. Stop by www.derityton.com for the Film Mechanics Screenwriting Workbook, and we'll see you next episode. Have an awesome day. Peace.